Welcome to part 3 of Self-Inflicted Wounds, How to Heal When We Hurt Ourselves. I'm the serial intellectual. I create intellectual products that transform people and change the world. I'm the author of 10 books, creator of 9 original personal development tools, and I have 2 decades of experience helping people just like you walk through self-inflicted wounds and heal themselves. Now, in part 2, we talked a little bit about what self-inflicted wounds are and where they come from. In part 3, today, we're going to talk about how they affect us. And I'm really going to push you, I think you may already be there, to actually deal with them, to leave off the whole idea that we're just going to live in denial and hope they go away because they're not. Or to stop entertaining the idea that they're just going to passively just sit there quietly and not have any negative impact on us, because they are. So, these wounds that we self-inflict, they have at least 6 negative impacts on us, and I want to go through each and every one of them. The first is mental. Now, whether you're trying to heal them or you're in some state of denial delusion, it takes mental energy to do both. Obviously, I'm recommending that you do the healing part and not the delusion denial part. But it takes mental energy. You see, when you do something, when you say something that brings a self-inflicted wound upon yourself, you have to process that mentally. All the thoughts come to your mind, like, why did I do that? How can I be so stupid? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? So it's not only that the wound has been given to you through your own actions, but now your mind can jump on and kind of beat you down and further abuse you and castigate you and take you through all kind of rigmarole and twist and turn you up. So part of the suffering and the harm that we go through in self-inflicted wounds is mental. It's very mental, and it's exhausting to go through it. A second effect that self-inflicted wounds have on us is emotional. So we then feel all of these things. And there's some primary emotions associated with self-inflicted wounds. Shame is one of them. What is wrong with me that I did that? What is wrong with me that I said that? Why didn't I see it? How could I let myself get in that situation and then do that? There's a tremendous sense of shame. And remember, shame is an identity-based emotion. It's essentially involved and obsessed with who you are. And it doesn't like to be seen negatively. And it really wants to protect your dignity. But when you do a self-inflicted wound, when one comes upon you, you tend to think, man, I must be something awful for something like that to have happened. But another emotion that's associated with self-inflicted wounds is fear. And fear is a proximity-based emotion, and it is triggered when we do self-inflicted wounds, because then we're certainly aware that, well, who else is going to see this? And how am I going to be treated? And what's this going to change? In other words, are my safe places no longer going to be safe? Or am I going to be vulnerable? Am I going to get in trouble? Am I going to lose? Am I going to face limitations? So shame and fear. And then guilt shows up to the party. What'd you do that for? How could you do that? If you shoulda, woulda, coulda, woulda. And these 3, I call them the emotional triumvirate, they come in and they can really beat you up. And you add them with your thoughts, and you can be suffering a lot of harm. But there's a third. The third is spiritual. Now, we are spiritual beings, and we all have some way in which we express that. So when you do something that brings on a self-inflicted wound, 9 times out of 10, you're going to appeal to your spiritual part of you for some type of explanation, solution, or even some type of salvation. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's faith. Maybe it's re-engaging in church or Bible study or reading or meditation or getting around others who have the same beliefs as you. But what happens is self-inflicted wounds are going to attempt to separate you from your faith, separate you from prayer, start to make you think, is it really worth it? It didn't even work to keep me out of this. How's it going to work to heal me? When's God going to show up? How's he going to do it? What's going to happen if people find out that I did this? And are they going to judge me? Am I going to be separated from my faith community? And so your spirit can suffer as well during a self-inflicted wound. And this is why they have to be addressed. Fourth, self-inflicted wounds hurt us physically as well. Like our physical bodies, we hurt. So we know we can feel emotions, and we know we feel our thoughts in some capacity, anxiety and depression, things of that nature. And we're conscientious of the mental torment. And we also know that we have this spiritual battle that's going on, but then physically, because we're exerting so much energy mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, we're naturally prone to be tired. We're naturally prone to not have as much physical energy in our gas tanks to do all the things we're supposed to do, like walk, like exercise, like work, like show up in these physical bodies for others and those relationships that matter most to us. You see, some people don't put the math together. Oftentimes, when you do something or say something that brings a self-inflicted wound, one of the ways it shows up is physically. And you need to be mindful of that. And it's another reason why we have to address it. Number 5, relationally. Yes, self-inflicted wounds hit us relationally. Now, if you've been tracking through these other 4, it's like, duh, of course, relationally. That's right. And when shame, fear, and guilt come in, and anxiety and depression, and we're tired, and all those other elements kick in, they're bound to have an impact on our relationships, on the relationships that matter the most to us. And this is all the more reason why we have to address our self-inflicted wounds. We have to, because if we don't, they're going to slowly and consistently eat away at our relational aptitude and our relational competencies and just the wealth and the health and the enjoyment of our relationships, because that's what they do. They function like relational cancer. And number 6, the last harmful effect of self-inflicted wounds is vocationally. In other words, work or business, whatever you do, whatever your practice is, it's going to impact you. You see, because you're carrying this mental and emotional and spiritual and physical and relational burdens as a result of these self-inflicted wounds. And you know where you take them? To work, to your business. You take them with you. And they're just an extra backpack of weight and nuisance and burdens. And this is all the more why we have to deal with them. And if you think they're not showing up in your workplace, I guarantee they are. Now, you may have come up with some ways over time to try to mask them and put on some makeup and things of that nature. Maybe you're working hard to cover up their impact, which is one of the reasons why people are so tired, because they overwork to compensate for the fact that they have these self-inflicted wounds that are telling them, you're nothing, you shoulda, you woulda, you coulda. And so people often respond by being workaholics. And then that tends to chip away at their quality. And they're pumping out quantity, but their quality is going down. And often the root cause of all of this is they have this wound that is their fault, and they don't know how to heal it. And this is why, my friends, we have to heal these. Because if not, these 6 things, they're going to eat us alive. Grace and peace.